What if the ground beneath your feet could whisper ancient secrets? Of oceans turned to stone, of creatures frozen in time, of fire and flood sculpting the bones of the earth. South Dakota is more than just sweeping plains and presidential faces carved in granite. It's a living archive of the planet's wildest experiments, where fossilized jungles sleep beneath grasslands and layered rock cathedrals rise like time made visible. In the Badlands, nature paints in chaos and silence, while the Black Hills hide labyrinths so vast they inhale air like lungs. This is a place where geology becomes mythology, and every cliffside, every cavern, every glint of quartz feels like a page torn from Earth's unfinished diary. So, what is it about South Dakota that turns land into legend? Stay with us, because what waits beyond the monuments may just rewrite everything you thought you knew about the natural world. Not all great cities begin with skyscrapers. Some begin with a sound like the rumble of ancient water carving its path through glacial stone. Long before highways met at its feet, Sioux Falls was drawn to the rhythm of a river. A place where cascading waters shape not only the land, but also the course of history. And today, in the heart of South Dakota, that rhythm still echoes through streets, through stories, through time. Chartered in 1856 along the banks of the Big Sioux River, Sioux Falls has grown into South Dakota's most populous city, now home to over 219,000 residents as of early 2025. More than 30% of the state's population lives in this thriving metro, nestled at the crossroads of interstates 29 and 90. Indigenous burial mounds still crown the bluffs above the river, reminders of centuries-old civilizations that cultivated the land long before the city's name appeared on any map. Downtown hums with restaurants that serve pistachio and chocolate mint macarons, while local chefs reimagine prairie fare in ways that surprise and delight. The city has quietly become a culinary outlier. Less corn, more creativity. And behind the storefronts and skyline, a deep respect for heritage remains. Now, before we move on to the next destination in South Dakota, here's a fun question for you. Which park in South Dakota looks like a lunar landscape? Comment your answer below. Carved by glacial ice nearly 14,000 years ago, the Big Sioux River doesn't just meander through Sioux Falls, it thunders through it. At Falls Park, just north of downtown, more than 7,000 gallons of water drop 100 feet every second, roaring across the rose-colored quartzite that has witnessed centuries of human presence. Here, Sioux quartzite cliffs split the river into 3 dramatic cascades, each framed by paved trails, viewing platforms, and the 5-story observation tower that crowns the northern edge of the park. On calm days, the water glistens like glass. After a rain, it roars like a locomotive. The remains of the Queen Bee Mill rise stoically on the east bank, once a towering symbol of 19th century ambition, now a silhouette of stone and memory. The park spans 123 acres, weaving history, nature, and city life into one continuous rhythm. Every path is an invitation to pause, to climb the red rocks, to hear the thunder of water and the hush of prairie wind. No matter the season, Falls Park is more than the city's namesake. It's the beating heart of Sioux Falls, a place where land, water, and time all converge. If you are watching this, please click the subscribe button in the corner of the screen. It's completely free, but means a lot to us. At the edge of the Badlands, where stone cliffs rise like the remains of a forgotten ocean, the town of Wall has stood since the railroad first arrived in 1907. Born beside the tracks and named for the great wall of rock that looms over the horizon, the town grew with quiet determination, becoming a place both rooted and reaching, never large, but always essential. What began as a stop for trains and cattlemen evolved, in time, into a threshold to some of South Dakota's most iconic landscapes. Missile control sites from the Cold War still rest beneath the soil, holding the silence of another era. And then there's Wall Drug, opened during the depths of the Depression in 1931, a small pharmacy that would become one of America's most unlikely destinations. Often called the gateway to the Badlands or the heart of American tourism, Wall welcomes millions, yet never forgets its scale. The Western spirit lingers in its storefronts and sunlit streets, in the way strangers become neighbors, if only for an hour. All right, folks, welcome to one of the most extraordinary places in the American Midwest, Badlands National Park. We're standing on land that spans over 240,000 acres of wild terrain. Imagine jagged buttes, spiky pinnacles, and sweeping grasslands that roll out as far as the eye can see. This isn't just a park. It's the largest stretch of undisturbed mixed grass prairie in the United States. You're walking through a living museum of geology and culture. This land holds deep spiritual meaning for the Lakota people, and it's where ghost dances took place in the 1890s. You might not expect it, but during the Cold War, parts of this sacred land were also used as a bombing range by the U.S. Air Force. You'll still see remnants of that history as we go. The park was first set aside as a national monument in 1929. And later became a full-fledged national park in 1978. And if any of this looks familiar, maybe it's because scenes from Dances with Wolves and Thunderheart were filmed right here. The beauty is cinematic, and trust me, pictures don't do it justice. So, as we explore today, remember, this land tells stories of ancient oceans and sacred ceremonies, of wildlife clinging to survival and cultures reclaiming space. It's not just a stop on your trip, it's a journey into the heart of the land itself. Founded during the Black Hills Gold Rush of 1876, Rapid City grew from a quiet creekside settlement into a gateway to the western frontier, shaped by railroads, miners, and uneasy relations with the Sioux. Today, it thrives as a regional center for tourism, trade, and industry, its streets resting at the edge of stone and sky. Sturgis, founded in 1878 and named after Union General Samuel D. Sturgis, became the seat of Meade County in 1889 and grew alongside the nearby Fort Meade. best known for hosting the annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. One of the world's largest biker gatherings, the city draws thousands of visitors each August for 10 days of events and rides. Once home to missile silos and the infamous Full Throttle Saloon, Sturgis remains a unique crossroads of military history, motorcycle culture, and rugged South Dakota spirit. Deadwood didn't grow gently from the prairie. It exploded into being, carved from a gulch thick with pine and ambition. In 1876, gold fever swept through the Black Hills, and tents gave way to timber as thousands flooded in, hungry for wealth on land that wasn't theirs. The town arose fast and loud, lawless and alive, its wooden facades echoing with the clang of opportunity. What began as a mining camp became a full-fledged frontier town almost overnight, bustling with saloons, brothels, and gamblers chasing fortune. In the present days, Deadwood endures, not as a reenactment, but as a breathing relic, where every boardwalk and weathered sign tells a story. It's not nostalgia, it's survival written in pine, grit, and the gold-dusted ghosts of the West. Carved by Spearfish Creek over millions of years, Spearfish Canyon boasts limestone cliffs older than the Grand Canyon. Tucked into the Black Hills, this narrow gorge is a haven for wildlife, from bobcats to mountain goats. Its scenic byway, once a historic rail route, now guides travelers through soaring 1,000-foot canyon walls. With trails, waterfalls, and rugged cliffs, it's a natural playground for hikers, anglers, and climbers alike. Roughlock Falls cascades in gentle tears through a narrow limestone canyon, creating one of the most picturesque waterfalls in the Black Hills. Surrounded by dense forest and moss-covered rocks, its clear waters tumble into a shallow pool that reflects the changing light of the seasons. Quiet and accessible, the falls offer a serene moment of beauty that feels both intimate and timeless. Spearfish Falls tumbles 47 feet into a narrow gorge carved by Little Spearfish Creek, surrounded by the sheer cliffs of one of the most scenic spots in Spearfish Canyon. Once a celebrated stop along a railroad line in the late 1800s, the falls dried up for nearly a century after mining operations diverted the water upstream. Since the creek's flow was restored in 2003, the waterfall has returned, untamed, steady, and well worth the short walk from the old latchstring site. Snow drapes the canyon in white, and the rushing water quiets beneath growing sheets of frost. Keystone began as a rugged mining camp, carved from the promise of gold hidden deep within the Black Hills. Just 3 miles from Mount Rushmore, this once all-male enclave quickly transformed into a thriving town with over 2,000 residents and a bustling railroad. In the 1930s, miners traded pickaxes for drills, helping carve the nation's most iconic monument into granite. Tourism soon eclipsed mining as travelers from around the world came to see the mountain and discovered Keystone in the process. Nowadays, this historic town thrives on both its Wild West charm and its place in America's monumental story. In the granite heights of the Black Hills, Mount Rushmore National Memorial rises as a monumental tribute to 4 American presidents. Situated about 25 miles southwest of Rapid City, the site features 60-foot-tall likenesses of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Each figure was selected to embody a chapter in the country's first 150 years, from founding and expansion to progress and preservation. The mountain itself was named in 1885 after Charles E. Rushmore, a New York attorney who once traveled through the area. The vision for a massive sculpture began in 1923 with state historian Doane Robinson, who initially proposed honoring notable figures from the American West on a spire within Custer State Park. Sculptor Gutzon Borglum, however, rejected that location due to poor rock quality and chose nearby Mount Rushmore for its solid granite face. He also shifted the focus to national presidents, believing their legacy would carry broader meaning. Construction began in 1927 and eventually came under the care of the National Park Service in 1933. The entire memorial spans 2 square miles and sits at an elevation of 5,725 feet. More than a landmark, Mount Rushmore remains a bold statement, etched in stone, about identity, power and permanence. Emerging from the granite face of Thunderhead Mountain, the Crazy Horse Memorial honors one of the greatest Lakota warriors in American history. First envisioned in 1939 and begun in 1948, the monument is still in progress, destined to become the largest mountain sculpture in the world at over 560 feet high. More than just a feat of engineering, it is a living tribute to Native resistance, cultural pride, and a legacy that continues to stir both reverence and debate. The Black Hills rise abruptly from the prairie, an ancient island of stone and forest, set apart from the flat expanse of the Great Plains. Black Elk Peak towers at 7,242 feet, the highest summit between the Rockies and the Mississippi River. Cloaked in dense evergreens, the hills appear almost black from afar, a feature that gave them their name. Known to the Lakota as Pahasapa, this land has long been held as sacred, central to spiritual life, ceremony, and survival. After defeating the Cheyenne in 1776, the Lakota made the region their own, only to be displaced a century later when gold was discovered during Custer's 1874 expedition. Although the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868 had promised the Black Hills to the Sioux forever, the U.S. government broke that agreement, fueling a gold rush that reshaped the region. The hills were settled not from the east, but by fortune seekers from Colorado and Montana, drawn by the lure of another boom. Over time, the economy shifted from mining and timber to hospitality, with travelers replacing prospectors. The southern hills are home to monumental sites like Mount Rushmore, Wind Cave, and Black Elk Peak, while the northern hills offer canyons, historic towns, and the roar of the Sturgis Rally each August. Across this rugged terrain, history, geology, and memory remain carved into the land like the granite faces it now holds. In 1891, Theodore Reeder built a stone dam across Sunday Gulch Creek, and from that act of engineering, Sylvan Lake was born. Spread across 17 acres within Custer State Park, it has become one of the Black Hills' most beloved landmarks. Visitors wander the mile-long trail, kayak through still reflections, or scramble along rocks to catch a glimpse of something just beyond the obvious. Granite peaks rise like fossilized fire from the Black Hills, their jagged silhouettes etched against a wide, breathing sky. Winding through them, the Needles Highway threads past towering stone spires and narrow tunnels, barely wide enough for a single car. Every turn, a quiet gasp. Lakes like Sylvan shimmer beneath ancient cliffs, their surfaces so still they seem painted in place. Fields of golden grass ripple with the wind, broken only by the curve of a dirt trail or the distant sparkle of a stream. Sunlight filters through ponderosa pine forests, turning ordinary dust into gold, and every mile feels like entering a deeper stillness. Canyon walls, cracked and sun-streaked, hide hidden paths where shadows stretch like memory. High on the ridges, rock outcrops lean toward the sky as if listening to the wind's old story. In the distance, granite domes soften with moss and age, reminding visitors that time here moves differently. Whether walking, driving, or simply standing still, the park reveals itself in quiet, monumental fragments. This is a landscape that doesn't shout, it carves its wonder in stone. In 1922, a road thought to be impossible became reality, twisting through granite spires and narrow passes in the Black Hills of South Dakota. This was Needles Highway, named for the jagged rock formations that frame the sky like stone arrows frozen in place. The route, plotted by Governor Peter Norbeck on foot and horseback, winds past forests of pine and aspen, open meadows, and sheer granite walls. The prairies roll like waves above one of the deepest secrets in North America. At Wind Cave National Park, the story doesn't begin underground. It begins in the wind-brushed grasslands that stretch over 33,000 acres across the southern Black Hills. Ponderosa pines rise from the horizon like sentinels, while herds of bison roam freely across fields of wildflowers and golden grass. Coyotes call from distant ridgelines, and pronghorn antelope move like flickers of light across the open plains. This is one of the last remaining islands of mixed grass prairie in North America, protected and unchanged, where each step crunches over centuries of survival. Long before Wind Cave became the first cave to be designated a national park, this land was a sacred gathering place for the Lakota, who saw it not just as shelter, but as origin, both a winter refuge and a hunting ground teeming with life. The cave's mysterious breath, a constant gust from its mouth, may be what drew early curiosity, but it's the land above that continues to astonish. No entrance fee is needed to hike here, just time, patience, and a willingness to listen to the wind as it tells a story far older than any trail map. The South Dakota plains unfold like an endless canvas, flat, open, and vast beyond comprehension. Stretching across the eastern and central parts of the state, this landscape is part of the larger Great Plains ecosystem, where tall grasses sway in the wind and the sky feels like it could swallow the earth. Here, agriculture is not just an industry, it's a way of life. Fields of corn, wheat, and soybeans stretch to the horizon, stitched together by gravel roads and rust-red barns. But this calm terrain hides a fierce temperament. Thunderstorms roll in like freight trains, tornadoes touch down with raw, unpredictable power, and winter brings blizzards that blanket the land in white silence. Yet through it all, the plains endure, unyielding, quietly majestic, and deeply rooted in South Dakota's soul. South Dakota is a land where silence speaks through stone, and history lingers in every shadowed canyon. Its wild spirit endures in sweeping plains, sacred hills, and skies that stretch forever. To journey here is to touch something timeless, untamed, unshaken, and profoundly real.